In the heart of a bustling American metropolis where neon lights and ancient traditions coexist in a tapestry of secrets, Siena's story unfolds like a whispered legend in the wind. The city's skyline, an amalgam of glass and steel, stretched into the horizon, yet the shadows of its forgotten past concealed mysteries far older than the urban sprawl could ever reveal. Siena navigated the crowded streets with a quiet determination. By day, she was an independent art curator at a renowned museum, curating exhibits that celebrated the intersections of modernism and folklore. By night, she was a seeker of truths, compelled by fragments of family history shrouded in enigma. Underneath her reserved exterior burned an inner fire fueled by years of unanswered questions about her lineage, a secret tapestry woven with both love and betrayal. Her nightly wanderings often led her to the outskirts of the city where nature reclaimed old lands, and whispers of ancient rituals still resonated among the trees. It was on one such night, under a crescent moon, that fate interwove her destiny with that of Merrick, the enigmatic alpha of a once glorious werewolf clan. Merrick was no ordinary man. His piercing eyes and an aura of both power and melancholy hinted at responsibilities and burdens that weighed heavily upon his spirit. His dual existence, straddling the worlds of fierce, primal instincts and the tender echoes of human emotion, was a constant internal struggle. At a hidden gathering deep in the wilderness, where the ethereal glow of a bonfire punctuated the darkness, Siena and Merrick met. The air was thick with anticipation and unspoken promises as traditions long erased by modern life were resurrected in ritualistic homage to nature. Amid the chanting of elders and the rhythmic pulse of drums, their eyes locked in a silent conversation that transcended words. For a fleeting moment, the past and the present collided, and the tapestry of destiny began to reweave itself. Their encounter was unexpectedly interrupted by a tense exchange between two elder shifters, a warning of a betrayal that threatened to unravel the delicate balance of their fractured community. Marek's voice, deep and resonant, broke through the din, urging calm and unity. Siena, though visibly shaken, found solace in his commanding presence. Their interaction was charged with an intensity neither could deny, yet each guarded their hearts against a future riddled with peril. Later that evening, as the city's lights flickered like distant stars, Siena retreated to a modest apartment overlooking an abandoned industrial park, a relic of the city's storied past. Here, she contemplated the enigmatic aura surrounding Merrick and the shrouded duties he bore as the Alpha. The weight of her family's legacy pressed upon her, a collection of enigmatic relics and cryptic diaries left behind by a mother who had whispered of a forbidden truth. Each faded page hinted at ancient bloodlines and intertwined fates, stories of curses, redemption, and the harrowing beauty of forbidden love. In the following days, Siena embarked on a quest for clarity. Late nights at the museum were filled with hushed conversations with historians and quiet reflections by dimly lit archives. She uncovered cryptic references to a sacred ritual that once united disparate clans, revealing that her own ancestry might be intricately linked to the very world she now trod. Determined to piece together the fragments of her past, she found herself delving deeper into the occult symbols that decorated family heirlooms and dusty manuscripts. Each discovery only raised more questions. Who were her true kin, and what dark secrets had they so zealously guarded? As the city slumbered, the wilderness outside beckoned Siena. She ventured into a sprawling forest preserve where ancient oaks and whispering pines bore silent witness to untold secrets. It was here that Siena encountered a weathered monument, a time-worn cairn etched with cryptic runes that resonated with the pulse of the earth. The inscription spoke of loyalty, sacrifice, and a destiny entwined with both light and shadow. While the inscription offered no immediate answers, it stirred within her a sense of connection to those who had come before and a dawning realization that her journey was only just beginning. Meanwhile, Merrick wrestled with conflicting loyalties that gnawed at his soul. In the upper echelons of his clan's inner circle, factions vied for power, a contest that threatened to overshadow his own dreams of a united future. Deeply devoted to his people, yet irresistibly drawn to Siena's unyielding spirit, Merrick found himself caught in a maelstrom of duty versus desire. His inner turmoil was palpable in his private moments. Beneath the mask of stoic leadership lay a heart battered by betrayals and the scars of a turbulent past. In his solitude, he scribbled fervent notes in a leather-bound journal, lamenting that his love might be the spark that ignited chaos among those he was sworn to protect. One rain-soaked night, as the city's pavements glistened with reflections of neon dreams and rain clouds wept softly above, Merrick made a fateful decision. He sought a clandestine meeting with his most trusted advisor, an elder with wisdom carved into every wrinkle of his weathered face. The time has come, Merrick murmured, his voice heavy with resolve. Our future hinges on choices that may redefine everything we hold dear. His advisor's solemn nod was a silent pact, a commitment to navigate the treacherous path that lay ahead, even if it meant sacrificing centuries-old alliances. At this pivotal juncture, tension permeated the air like an electric charge. In a moment of unguarded vulnerability, Merrick and Sienna found themselves sharing secrets beneath a sky threatened by storm clouds. I have lived a lifetime in shadows, Merrick confessed in a low, gravelly tone, and I fear that the darkness I carry may someday consume us both. Sienna's eyes, shimmering with determination and uncertainty, met his gaze. Perhaps our fates are not written solely in the stars but forged by every choice we dare to make, she replied, her voice a blend of hope and trepidation. Their dialogue, imbued with both raw emotion and caution, hinted at the dangerous crossroads upon which their lives now teetered. Every word, every pause, resounded with the potential to either heal ancient wounds or ignite a conflict that could devastate the fragile peace between rival factions. The delicate interplay of their past and present memories merged into an overwhelming anticipation of what was to come. As days turned into nights and nights into a relentless march toward an inevitable confrontation, Sienna's mind raced with reflections on loyalty and destiny. The city itself became a living character in her narrative, a place where every street corner and abandoned building echoed the stories of those who had dared to dream of unity amidst chaos. The clash between urban modernity and primordial instinct created a vivid backdrop against which this supernatural saga was staged. Yet, even in the midst of extraordinary forces, the most compelling element remained the profound connection between two souls whose lives were forever altered by one fateful encounter. The unfolding events bore the promise of immense change. Whispers of revolt began seeping through the ranks of the rival clans, and the ancient rituals that once celebrated harmony now morphed into dangerous preludes to a looming conflict. Every secret unearthed, every alliance tested, served to sharpen the bittersweet awareness of what was at stake. Sienna's internal journey was not merely a quest for love but a relentless pursuit of self-understanding and redemption, a chance to come to terms with a heritage that demanded as much sacrifice as it did strength. In one particularly charged moment, at the edge of a verdant cliff overlooking the sprawling city lights, Sienna stood alone against the chill wind. Clutching an heirloom locket, an artifact rumored to contain a hidden message from her ancestors, she vowed to uncover the truth no matter the cost. The wind seemed to whisper secrets of ages past, and for the first time, Sienna felt the full weight of her destiny pressing upon her, a destiny that intertwined her fate with the survival of an entire community. Back in the hidden enclaves of Marek's clan, the stirrings of dissent grew louder. In clandestine meetings held in subterranean chambers lit by flickering torches, murmurs of treason were exchanged behind veils of loyalty. Marek's internal battle deepened with every passing day, for each whisper of betrayal in the corridors of power reinforced the fear that his divided loyalty might one day unravel everything he cherished. The unraveling promises of the ancient rituals loomed over him like a cursed prophecy, a forewarning of a time when the rift between duty and desire would force an impossible choice. In the midst of these growing tensions, an unexpected message arrived. A cryptic letter, its paper yellowed with age and inscribed in a hand that could have belonged to any number of long-forgotten kin. The letter spoke of a hidden legacy and hinted that the key to ending the strife lay not in might or magic, but in the fragile, seemingly inconsequential bonds of love and forgiveness. Reading those words, Marek's heart clenched with both hope and despair, a tumultuous storm of emotions that foreshadowed the brewing tempest in his soul. The first threads of destiny had been pulled, weaving together the intricate patterns of fate, love, and the eternal struggle against a preordained path. Sienna and Merrick, bound by secrets and a shared yearning for redemption, stood on the precipice of a future that held promises as dangerous as they were enticing. Their love, forged in the crucible of betrayal and hope, would either bridge the chasm between ancient clans or shatter the delicate alliances that kept their worlds in balance. As the night deepened and the first hints of dawn began to illuminate the horizon, each heartbeat resonated with the unspoken promise of change, a promise that their intertwined destinies might yet defy the harsh decrees of history. The stage was set, the actors in place, and the ancient dance of passion and power prepared to reach a crescendo that would leave an indelible mark on both mortal and supernatural hearts. Every shadow, every flicker of light, bore witness to the turmoil and the hope that defined this love story, one written in secret chapters of pain, resilience, and ultimately the potential for redemption. Sienna's gaze lingered on the distant horizon as uncertainty mingled with a fierce determination, knowing that the next step in this labyrinthine journey could not be taken without risking everything she held dear. Meanwhile, in the quiet solitude of his inner sanctum, Merrick prepared himself for the inevitable confrontation. A battle that was not only with the external forces threatening to tear his world apart but also with the inner demons he had long suppressed. With every slow, deliberate breath, the fragile alliance between love and duty trembled on the brink of collapse, holding within it the power to either redeem or destroy them all. In that fleeting moment, amidst converging forces of destiny and defiance, the promise of an uncertain future shimmered with both peril and hope, a beacon urging them to embrace the depths of their vulnerability. In the aftermath of that fateful night, the city seemed to pulse with a hidden rhythm, echoing the tumultuous hearts of its inhabitants. The neon glow that had once bathed Sienna's quiet determination now took on an almost conspiratorial hue, mirroring the secret struggles simmering beneath the surface of both the urban sprawl and the wild lands beyond. As the dawn broke over the towering skyline, it revealed not just a new day but a fresh chapter in a saga where ancient legacies clashed with modern aspirations. Sienna awoke in her modest apartment, the remnants of her dreams now intermingled with the pressing need to unravel the mysteries that had haunted her bloodline for generations. Her mind replayed the events of the previous night, the clandestine meeting beneath storm-swept skies, the whispered promises of unity and betrayal, and the haunting look in Marek's eyes that suggested a future fraught with danger. Determined to confront her past, she reached for the weathered diary of her late mother, its pages yellowed by time yet imbued with an ethereal glow, as if infused with the very essence of ancestral wisdom. The diary chronicled the forbidden love and hidden alliances of a bygone era, a time when the supernatural and the mortal world were intertwined in a delicate balance. With each entry, Sienna discovered fragments of history, tales of lost relics, secret covenants, and betrayals that had reverberated through the ages. One particularly evocative passage described a fabled relic known as the Heartstone, a gem rumored to possess the power to unite estranged kin or, conversely, to ignite the dormant fury of fractured clans. The words leapt off the page, stirring an unquenchable curiosity in Sienna, who knew that uncovering the relic's secrets might be the key to forging a future free of the shackles of ancient discord. Later that morning, over a modest breakfast in a sun-dappled corner cafe, Sienna's thoughts were interrupted by an unexpected call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was calm, measured, and laden with urgency. "Miss Laramie, you must come to the old mill on the outskirts. There are things about your past that need explanation, things that even Merrick could not have foretold." The cryptic message sent a tremor down her spine, yet it also ignited a spark of resolve. She knew that every lead, every whisper from the shadows, was a step closer to understanding the legacy of her blood and the true nature of her connection with Merrick. Meanwhile, across the sprawling urban expanse, Merrick faced his own battles in a world that seemed increasingly determined to shatter the delicate balance he was trying to maintain. Within the ancient stone walls of his clan's secluded compound hidden in the dense forests, preparations were underway for an extraordinary gathering, a ritual meant to honor the old ways while heralding a new era of unity. The compound, a labyrinth of ivy-draped corridors and echoing chambers, had always been a sanctuary where the supernatural could exist free from the prying eyes of mortals. However, recent events had disrupted the sanctity of that haven, and Merrick now found himself grappling with a splintering loyalty that threatened not only his rule but the very soul of his kind. A council meeting had convened in the heart of the compound. Elder Luca, a figure revered for his vast knowledge of their ancestral lore, addressed the gathering with a gravitas that silenced even the most vehement dissent. "Our world is at a precipice," he intoned. "The Heartstone, if it indeed exists, could be the linchpin that binds us to our origins or the catalyst for our ultimate ruin." His words resonated deeply with Merrick, who had long wrestled with the burden of leadership and the possibility that ancient artifacts might hold answers to modern dilemmas. During the meeting, heated debates erupted among the council members. Some argued for a radical embrace of the old rituals, while others, emboldened by the promise of a more harmonious future alongside mortals, pushed for a path of integration. Merrick listened silently, the weight of both worlds pressing upon him. At the center of the conflict was not merely the fate of his clan but also his forbidden love for Sienna, a bond that, if exposed, could jeopardize everything he had fought to protect. The council's discussions drifted in cycles of caution and fervor, echoing the tumult in Marek's soul. Later that afternoon, under a canopy of brooding clouds and the steady hum of incipient rain, Merrick found himself drawn once again to the periphery of civilization. He returned to the same forest preserve where he had first encountered Sienna, guided by an inexplicable force that seemed to call him toward destiny. Wandering through a maze of ancient trees and winding paths, he eventually reached a clearing that housed an abandoned stone structure. The relic, obscure yet rich with history, was marked with runes that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Here, the echoes of past ceremonies and unspoken oaths converged into a singular moment of profound clarity. Kneeling before the ancient edifice, Merrick whispered a prayer, a plea for guidance and forgiveness, for both his own transgressions and those of his forebears. The structure appeared to respond, its crumbling walls resonating with a quiet hum that seemed to acknowledge his inner turmoil. In that moment, he discerned a vision of the Heartstone, shimmering with a spectral light that promised both salvation and peril. The realization struck him with an equal measure of hope and dread. The relic held within it the potential to reconcile the divided loyalties that had long beset his clan, but its misuse could as easily incite a catastrophic schism among the supernatural. As dusk settled and the first drops of rain began to fall, Merrick returned to his compound with a mind now ablaze with both purpose and uncertainty. He knew that the discovery of the Heartstone could alter the course of history for his people, yet the path to claiming it was fraught with danger. Torn between his obligations as the Alpha and his desperate desire to protect Sienna, Merrick resolved that he would unite both worlds, even if that union required him to confront the darkest corners of his own soul. Unbeknownst to him, Sienna's journey was similarly fraught with challenges. The address from the mysterious caller had led her to a dilapidated building at the edge of town, the old mill. The structure, long abandoned by time, exuded an aura of melancholy and forgotten lore. Inside, she discovered a hidden chamber filled with relics and artifacts that seemed to have been collected meticulously over generations. Among these treasures, she found a series of letters written in an elegant, archaic script, a communication between her mother and a shadowy figure whose identity remained concealed behind a tapestry of allegiances and betrayals. In one particular letter, the writer confessed to a secret relationship with a member of Marek's clan, hinting at a connection that could possibly explain the inexplicable bond between Sienna and the Alpha. The language was filled with longing and despair, yet also with hope, a hope that transcended even the strict boundaries of duty and honor. The discovery sent ripples of uncertainty through her heart. Had her mother been entwined with the very forces that now imperiled her future? And if so, what did that mean for Sienna's destiny? The weight of these revelations drove her to delve deeper into the hidden recesses of the old mill. Behind a concealed door, protected by a series of symbols and ciphers, she uncovered an ancient mural depicting scenes of supernatural unity, werewolves and mortals standing side by side in a display of unity against common foes. The mural, illuminated sporadically by shafts of waning light, evoked both awe and foreboding. It was as if the ancient artist had prophesied a convergence of worlds, foretelling that the bonds between man and shifter, duty and desire, would one day redefine the course of history. Determined yet cautious, Sienna carefully documented her findings, capturing every detail in both sketches and notes. The revelation that her lineage might be inextricably linked to Marek's clan stirred emotions that ranged from betrayal to hope. Her mind raced with questions. Were her family's secrets a mere series of tragic misfortunes, or did they herald a greater destiny, a chance for redemption that could mend the fractures of a deeply divided society? As twilight deepened into a velvet night, Sienna received another cryptic message, this time in the form of a handwritten note slipped under her door. The note read only, "Trust the echoes of the past, for they hold the key to the future." The simplicity of the message contrasted starkly with the labyrinthine complexity of her newfound revelations. Clutching the note, Sienna felt an overwhelming urge to reconcile the disparate pieces of her identity. The uncertainties that had long haunted her began to coalesce into a singular quest, an odyssey to uncover the truth about her past, no matter the cost. That same evening, the fates of Sienna and Merrick edged ever closer to convergence. On a rain-drenched rooftop overlooking the city's restless streets, Merrick found himself engaged in a clandestine conversation with one of his most loyal lieutenants. "If the Heartstone is real, then its discovery might mend or shatter everything we have built," the lieutenant warned in a low, steady voice. Marek's eyes, reflective pools of determination and inner conflict, widened with the gravity of the revelation. "Our loyalties are tested by every secret, every lie whispered in the dark," Merrick replied, his tone laced with both determination and despair. "It is time to decide what we are willing to sacrifice, our honor or our future." The lieutenant's words lingered in the humid air, a stark reminder of the perilous precipice upon which their futures balanced. Marek's mind raced with plans and contingencies. Could the discovery of the Heartstone serve as a bridge between the feuding factions, or would it be the spark that ignited all-out war? The complexity of the dilemma was matched only by the intensity of his desire to shield Siena from the cascading consequences of ancient rivalries. In the clandestine corridors of power, whispers of dissent and hopeful murmurs of unity melded into a single resonant call for change, a call that Merrick knew he must answer, no matter the personal cost. Within the secure confines of her newfound sanctuary at the old mill, Siena felt the pulse of destiny quicken. The relics scattered across the neglected chamber seemed to whisper secrets of love and loss, of passion entwined with responsibility. Every artifact was a piece of a puzzle that, when assembled, hinted at a legacy larger than the sum of its parts. A legacy that carried the potential for both great healing and unspeakable destruction. With trembling hands, she turned the pages of yet another letter, a final confession that hinted at an imminent reckoning. The revelation was stark. A betrayal so profound that it threatened to upend not only her life but the very foundations upon which her family's legacy was built. The emotional weight of the revelation left her teetering on the brink of despair and resolve. The rain outside intensified, as if the heavens themselves mourned the weight of these intertwined destinies. Somewhere between the whispers of the past and the present's urgent calls, both Siena and Merrick realized that the road ahead was fraught with danger, and that the truth could unravel in unexpected ways. The duality of their lives, torn between love and loyalty, hope and betrayal, seemed destined to converge in a moment of irreversible consequence. As the night deepened, Merrick and Siena, separated by miles yet bound by shared fate, each embarked on journeys that promised neither solace nor simplicity. Every step they took, every revelation uncovered, pulled them inexorably towards an inevitable collision of worlds. Their inner battles echoed the external chaos, a war waged not only between rival factions but within their very souls. At this precipice of destiny, the discovery of the Heartstone was poised to serve as the fulcrum upon which everything balanced, a decision that would either usher in an era of healing or unleash the full fury of a fractured legacy. In a final, tension-charged moment that blurred the lines between hope and despair, the distant sound of a church bell tolled through the storm, its resonance carrying a promise as ominous as it was compelling. Both Siena and Merrick paused, their hearts in synchronized anticipation, as if that solitary tone heralded the turning point of their intertwined fates. In that suspended instant, the promise of redemption, the threat of betrayal, and the unyielding power of ancient love converged, beckoning them toward a destiny steeped in both peril and possibility. In the wake of revelations and cryptic messages, an uneasy calm settled over the disparate realms of Siena and Merrick, a pause in the storm that belied the ceaseless churn of destiny. As dawn broke in hues of gold and lavender over the sprawling American landscape, Siena emerged from the solitudinous depths of the old mill, her heart still racing from the newly uncovered secrets. The relics and letters she had found echoed with the voices of ancestors long silenced, urging her onward. She felt a magnetic pull, a summons inscribed in the very fabric of her being, a call to confront the hidden truths of her heritage and the intricate web that bound her to Merrick and his enigmatic world. In a modest cafe bathed in the soft light of early morning, Siena gathered her scattered thoughts. Determined to follow the labyrinthine clues, she reviewed her notes with meticulous care. Every symbol, every faded inscription hinted at a journey deeper into the past. The diary entries chronicled her family's clandestine alliances and the moral dilemmas of previous generations. A particular entry described a convergence of destinies that would ultimately determine the fate of both mortal and supernatural realms. The narrative, steeped in passion and betrayal, served as an ominous prelude to her own path. To see the light, one must first embrace the darkness, the passage read, a dictum that resonated painfully with her own inner conflict. Across the city, beneath the heavy boughs of ancient trees in a secluded park, Merrick wrestled with the escalating turmoil within his clan. The emotional and political pressures that had mounted in recent days now converged into a singular, critical moment. Within the heart of the compound, he was summoned to an emergency council meeting. The elders, draped in shadow and solemnity, convened around a circular stone table carved with symbols as old as time. Tension crackled in the air like static electricity as they debated the next move regarding the Heartstone. "It is not merely a relic of power, it is the keeper of our legacy," intoned Elder Marcellus, his voice both rasping and resolute. "If we do not retrieve it, the rift within our people will only grow, fracturing our ability to protect our heritage." Marek's gaze shifted between the fervor of the assembly and the weight of his own burdens. His mind replayed the fleeting vision from the abandoned stone structure. a radiant glimmer within the darkness that seemed simultaneously a promise and a warning. Questions gnawed at him. Could the Heartstone mend the fractures within his clan, or was it a double-edged sword that could ignite a conflagration of betrayal? The debate was punctuated by the soft murmur of dissent and the whispered memories of sacrifices past. One of the younger council members, with eyes bright in his determination, proposed a daring expedition to locate the Heartstone. "We risk everything," he declared, "but without taking the bold step forward, we are doomed to repeat the mistakes of history." The council fell into a hushed silence, each member weighing the implications. Marek's inner turmoil deepened with every word. They were standing at the threshold of irreversible change. Elsewhere, unknown to Marek's inner circle, a shadowy figure observed the proceedings from afar. Cloaked in the ambiguity of the night and intent on shaping the destiny of both clans, this mysterious observer had long harbored their own ambitions. With every murmured word in the council chamber, plans and schemes were set into motion. The figure's presence lent an air of danger, a palpable reminder that within the intricate dance of loyalty and treachery, unseen forces were at play, orchestrating moves that could tip the scales of fate. After the meeting, Marek sought solace in a quiet glade, a hidden refuge where he could confront the relentless surge of his emotions away from prying eyes. As twilight began to lower its velvet curtain over the city, he allowed himself a moment of introspection. Sitting beneath a sprawling oak, he opened the worn leather journal in which he had recorded his private thoughts. With each word scribbled on those pages, he endeavored to reconcile the duality of his existence. A leader torn by duty yet haunted by desire, a protector striving for unity in a realm riven by hidden strife. "The choices we make define us," he murmured, the weight of his conviction mingling with the night's cool breeze. In that solitary moment, Marek made a silent vow, to restore harmony within his clan and to nurture the fragile bond he shared with Sienna, no matter the personal cost. But as his resolve crystallized, he could not shake the foreboding sense that the path ahead was strewn with treachery, loss, and revelations that would forever alter the course of his life. Back in the city, Sienna's quest took her to an unexpected destination, a forgotten public library nestled between modern skyscrapers, where the archives of the past lay dormant in dusty tomes. Within its labyrinth of corridors and silent reading rooms, she discovered a section dedicated to local folklore and obscure family histories. The air was heavy with the scent of aged paper and memories. Carefully, she pored over records and microfiche images that detailed the clandestine interactions between supernatural beings and ordinary citizens during the early days of the nation. Each page she turned revealed nuances of a shared existence that blurred the lines between myth and reality. A particularly striking volume recounted an epic of star-crossed lovers whose union had once sparked unity between warring factions. The narrative, replete with allegory and symbolism, mirrored the passion and peril that now encapsulated Sienna's own life. Every brushstroke of ink on the delicate pages evoked images of love prevailing against an overwhelming tide of divisiveness. As she read, a sense of destiny swelled within her, a connection between those ancient words and her own unfolding saga that seemed too precise to be mere coincidence. Her research was abruptly interrupted by a chance encounter with a kindred spirit, a librarian named Daniel, whose quiet demeanor belied a deep-rooted knowledge of the occult and arcane. Daniel, aware of Sienna's fervor and the enigma shrouding her lineage, offered to assist her in deciphering the cryptic manuscripts that littered the fragile pages of history. "Sometimes the answers we seek are hidden in plain sight, woven into the fabric of our past," he said with a knowing smile. His words struck a chord within Sienna, and together they delved into texts that bridged historical events with supernatural lore. Their collaboration unfolded over long afternoons and whispered debates, as they compared notes, correlated dates, and deciphered long-forgotten dialects. The connection they forged was not just academic. There was an unspoken recognition of kindred souls, both striving to revive a legacy nearly lost to time. Meanwhile, as Sienna and Daniel unraveled the threads of historical allegories, the machinations within Marek's clan were gaining momentum. The clandestine observer finally made contact with a trusted emissary, a figure renowned for their loyalty yet burdened by moral uncertainty. Under cover of darkness, they convened in the shadow of an abandoned warehouse near the city's fringe. "The time has come to act," the emissary asserted, her voice trembling not from fear but from the gravity of the decision ahead. "If the Heartstone is to be our salvation, its retrieval must be swift and unchallenged. Our unity, our future, depends on it." Her words echoed in the deserted space, a stark reminder of the stakes involved. The emissary, whose true allegiance remained shrouded in ambiguity, was tasked with recruiting a team of elite trackers, shifters whose skills in navigating both the urban jungle and the untamed wilderness were unparalleled. Their mission: to uncover the hidden location of the Heartstone, a quest that would pit them against natural forces and hidden adversaries alike. The preparation was imbued with solemnity and urgency. Every step forward was a gamble, every decision a potential pivot in the outcome of a prolonged struggle. As the narrative of destiny wove its intricate pattern, Merrick found himself at a crossroads. His loyalty to his people clashed violently with the fervor of his private emotions, a conflict that threatened to cripple not only his leadership but the possibility of reconciling the ever-deepening rift between rival factions. His thoughts circled back to Sienna, the beacon of hope that had stirred within him a longing for redemption. Yet, he knew that embracing her fully might expose vulnerabilities that could be exploited by those conspiring against him. The tension within him was a crucible of conflicting impulses, forging a resolve tempered by both love and duty. In a moment of unforeseen tenderness, as a light drizzle began to caress the leaves of the ancient trees, Merrick allowed his defenses to waver just enough to confide in his closest friend and confidant, Elena. With a soft, earnest tone, he confessed, "I fear that every secret I safeguard, every step I take in our pursuit of the relic, leads us closer to ruin. Yet without hope there can be no future." Elena's eyes reflected the shared burden of such revelations, a silent acknowledgement of the paradox that had defined their existence. "Sometimes the greatest strength lies in embracing our weaknesses," she murmured, offering a gentle squeeze of reassurance. "Perhaps it is through this vulnerability that true redemption is born." As day surrendered to a deepening twilight, the disparate threads of destiny continued to converge. Sienna, now armed with an ancient manuscript and aided by Daniel's unwavering support, retraced the steps of her forebears to a long-forgotten cemetery on the outskirts of town, a place where the departed were honored with secrets etched in stone. Among the time-worn gravestones, one in particular caught her eye. Its inscription, obscured by the passage of time and nature's relentless reclaiming, bore the symbol of a crescent moon intertwined with a wolf's silhouette. The iconography was unmistakable, a direct link to Marek's clan and the enigmatic promise of the Heartstone. There, amidst the whisper of wind and the murmur of rustling leaves, Sienna felt the presence of those who had walked this path before her. The cemetery was not merely a resting place for souls, it was a sanctuary of memories, a bridge connecting the living to the wisdom of the ancestors. As she knelt before the weathered stone, her fingers traced the worn inscription, absorbing its silent testament to love, sacrifice, and the perennial struggle against fate. In that hushed exchange, time itself seemed to yield, offering a glimpse into a past rife with triumphs and tragedies, each note a harbinger of what was still to come. At the same moment, far from the quiet solemnity of the cemetery, the secretive emissary and her team had set out on their perilous expedition into the dense wilderness that bordered the urban sprawl. With each measured step and cautious glance, they navigated a maze of wild terrain where nature's raw power was interwoven with the mysteries of old. The night sky, awash with a tapestry of stars, bore silent witness to their mission, each star a distant beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. As the hours melted away and the expedition crept deeper into territory steeped in legend, the sense of inevitability grew palpable. Every shadow, every rustle in the underbrush, suggested that history was poised to repeat itself in ways both wondrous and terrifying. Marek's internal struggle and Sienna's relentless quest, though physically distant for the moment, were inexorably drawing them towards an encounter destined to alter the course of their intertwined fates. In that sprawling convergence of time and purpose, the boundaries between past and present began to blur. Each revelation served as a stepping stone toward a future where loyalty, love, and betrayal would be laid bare before the unyielding forces of destiny. Sienna's newfound resolve and Marek's embattled determination steered them along diverging yet ultimately colliding paths, a testament to the inescapable pull of fate and the enduring power of secrets to shape our lives. Through the haze of uncertainty and the weight of monumental choices, both hearts stirred with anticipation of an approaching climax, a moment in which every sacrifice, every whispered promise, and every hidden truth would converge into a singular turning point. The lives they had known were dissolving before their eyes, giving way to a raw and unfiltered confrontation between what was and what must be. It was in these moments, amidst the creeping fog of twilight and the urgency of converging destinies, that the true nature of redemption began to crystallize, paving the way for an eventual transformation that neither could have foreseen. In the hallowed silence of that ancient cemetery and the rugged, untamed wilds beyond, the narrative of their intertwined lives thrummed with an energy poised for upheaval, a stirring that promised to bring forth an answer to the multitude of questions that had shadowed their existence. With each heartbeat and every breath drawn in that fragile twilight, Sienna and Merrick edged nearer to a crossroads of irrevocable change, where the past and the future would collide in a climax that redefined them both. The relentless interplay of destiny and duty weighed upon Merrick and Sienna like an omnipresent force as they edged ever closer to the pivotal juncture of their intertwined fates. In the dim light of early evening, the boundaries between the supernatural and the modern world blurred further, forming an inky haze where trust and treachery waged a ceaseless battle. Merrick, his brow furrowed under the heavy burden of leadership, gathered his most loyal lieutenants in a secluded room deep within his ancestral compound. The walls, decorated with ancient symbols and portraits of long-departed alphas, bore silent witness to countless decisions that had defined his clan's legacy. Today, however, a palpable tension hung in the air, a tension born not only of the imminent expedition to uncover the Heartstone but also of personal doubts that gnawed at his soul. "We stand on the brink of a new era," Merrick declared in a low, resolute tone. "But every step we take must be measured, for the echoes of our past may yet dictate our future." His gaze shifted slowly to each of his companions, their expressions a mirror of conflict and determination. The mission was fraught with peril, a treacherous quest into uncharted territory where ancient powers and modern grievances collided. As his voice tapered off into the silence of the moment, an unsettling chill crept into the room, a reminder that even the most fortified bastions could not stave off the relentless march of fate. Across town, Sienna's resolve was tested anew. The aged manuscripts from the public library, now scattered across her modest desk, seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Daniel's steady presence lent her strength as they painstakingly pieced together fragmented clues that spanned generations. Their research had revealed a cryptic passage hinting at a subterranean passage beneath the old city, a hidden network of tunnels that, according to lore, had once served as a meeting place for both supernatural beings and human rebels. This clandestine network, shrouded in mystery and forgotten by time, might be the key to unlocking the secret of the Heartstone. Late into the night, Sienna and Daniel ventured into the city's underbelly. The urban landscape, usually so familiar under the glow of street lamps, transformed into an eerie labyrinth where whispers of the past echoed off damp, graffiti-laden walls. Their footsteps merged with the distant hum of nocturnal life as they navigated narrow alleyways and crumbling archways, a journey that felt as dangerous as it was revelatory. Every shadow seemed to conceal a secret, every silence a muffled cry from history. In a forsaken passageway beneath an abandoned subway station, Sienna discovered an inscription carved into the brick, a single phrase half eroded by time but resonating with an air of urgency: "In darkness, the truth awaits." This haunting message spurred Sienna to push forward despite the trepidation that clawed at her heart. With Daniel as her steadfast guide, she retraced the steps marked in the manuscript, each clue leading deeper into the forgotten veins of the city. Their journey brought them to a rusted iron door hidden behind a wall of ivy in a secluded courtyard. Beyond the door lay a labyrinth of tunnels, its passageways lined with relics, a mosaic of photographs, cryptic symbols, and fragments of letters from eras lost to memory. As they ventured further, the atmosphere grew oppressive, laden with the weight of untold stories and long-buried secrets. Within the network's bowels, Sienna's heart pounded in synchrony with the distant drips of water echoing through the corridors. Here, in this shadowed repository of history, remnants of clandestine meetings and secret rites painted a vivid tableau of alliances forged in adversity. Faded murals depicted scenes of unity and rebellion, of supernatural beings standing shoulder to shoulder with ordinary citizens in defiance of an oppressive destiny. Each mural was a silent testament to a time when the lines between mortal and shifter, love and duty, were drawn with bravery and sacrifice. Meanwhile, as Sienna and Daniel delved into the maze beneath the city, Marek's clan braced itself for an expedition into the heart of a wild and untamed forest, a place rumored to be as treacherous as it was enchanted. Guided by the ancient map etched into a tattered scroll retrieved from the compound's secret vault, Marek led his elite team through winding dirt paths and towering stands of oak and pine. The wilderness, alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures and the rustle of unseen presences, offered both sanctuary and peril. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a branch, bore the promise of danger and the potential for revelation. At the edge of the forest, the team arrived at a natural clearing, a vast, open space where the canopy of trees gave way to a starlit sky. Here, an enormous stone circle lay embedded in the earth, its weathered runes whispering tales of forgotten rituals and ancient pacts. Marek paused before the circle, his eyes reflecting the flickering light of a solitary campfire. In that moment, the weight of destiny bore down upon him with uncompromising clarity. The Heartstone was said to be hidden within these very stones, guarded by the forces of nature and fate alike. As Merrick and his team began a meticulous search, tensions mounted. Their every step was shadowed by the possibility of ambush, from rival shifters, from treacherous elements, or perhaps from the very forces the ancient legends warned of. With each passing minute, the enigmatic stone circle seemed to pulse with an almost sentient energy, as if it harbored the collective memories of 1,000 lost souls. Marek's heart thrummed with both anticipation and dread. He silently vowed that, regardless of the risks, the unity of his clan and the love that anchored his soul would compel him to confront even the darkest specters of his past. In the hidden tunnels beneath the city, the resonance of revelation reached a fever pitch. Sienna, guided by a newfound intuition and the cryptic inscriptions scattered along the ancient walls, arrived at a cavernous chamber. Its vaulted ceiling, adorned with intricate carvings depicting a celestial battle between light and shadow, exuded an aura of mysticism that defied explanation. In the center of the chamber stood an ancient pedestal, a solitary monument bathed in a soft, otherworldly glow. Upon the pedestal rested a small, opalescent object, its surface shimmering with an internal light that seemed to dance with the pulse of the room. Sienna's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the emblematic design described in the manuscripts. The artifact was unmistakably connected to the Heartstone, an integral piece of the puzzle that both connected and divided worlds. Her mind raced with possibilities and the weight of destiny. Was this artifact the key to deciphering the true location of the Heartstone, or was it a test, a lure to draw her ever deeper into a labyrinth of deception? With trembling hands, she reached out and carefully retrieved the relic, its cool, smooth surface evoking images of lost eras and forgotten promises. At that instant, the chamber's lights flickered, and a soft murmur of voices, as if from a long-distant past, reverberated around her. The sensation was both haunting and exhilarating, a reminder that every artifact unearthed carried the echoes of history and the hope for a reconciled future. Back in the forest clearing, Marek's expedition encountered an unforeseen obstacle. As they inscribed cryptic runes on the ancient stones, a deep, resonant vibration shook the ground, halting their progress. The earth itself seemed to groan with the weight of centuries as the stone circle began to shift ever so slightly, a subtle yet unmistakable movement that sent ripples of anxiety through the gathered shifters. Marek's instincts screamed that a force beyond mortal comprehension was stirring, a force with the power to either mend the fractured alliances or shatter them irreparably. In that suspended moment, time appeared to stretch thin, each heartbeat measured in the silence between nature's exhalations. Both realms, beneath the city and within the deep forest, held their collective breath as destiny wove its intricate design. Sienna, clutching the mysterious relic, sensed a profound connection with Marek's struggle. A silent, unspoken promise that every secret uncovered and every truth embraced was a step toward a destiny that defied the strictures of convention. Yet, an omnipresent undercurrent of foreboding persisted, hinting that the threads of fate were as delicate as they were unyielding. As the vibration beneath the ancient stones crescendoed into an almost imperceptible hum, Marek's resolve hardened. He knew that the Heartstone's potential for unity was matched only by its capacity for destruction. With a steely glint in his eyes, he instructed his team to hold their formation and remain alert. The very air around them thickened, as if charged with an energy that transcended time, a signal that the culmination of their sacrifices might finally be at hand. Simultaneously, deep within the echoing chamber, Sienna's pulse quickened. The relic in her hand radiated a warmth that belied the chill of the underground. The murmur of voices grew louder, coalescing into discernible words, a whispered incantation that invoked the names of those who had once traversed this same perilous path. The voices seemed to call her name, urging her to embrace the legacy of her forebears and the love that had set her on this quest. In that luminous instant, Sienna felt a surge of determination and a bittersweet ache, a realization that the choices she made in the coming moments would redefine the equilibrium between light and darkness, between passion and duty. While the subterranean mysteries and the ancient forest converged on the cusp of revelation, the disparate journeys of Merrick and Sienna mirrored the timeless struggle between destiny and free will. Every step forward was mired in risk, every choice steeped in the legacy of betrayal and the promise of redemption. In this crossroad of life and fate, the Heartstone loomed as both a beacon of hope and a harbinger of inevitable conflict, its true nature shrouded in the mists of ancient lore. As the echoes of the incantation faded into the silence of the chamber and the trembling earth beneath the forest cleared whispered of an impending convergence, both Merrick and Sienna felt the pull of destiny intensify. They were poised on the very brink of a revelation that would either bind their worlds together or forever sever the delicate ties that had sustained them through endless trials. The air was thick with possibility and peril, the promise of transformation shadowed by the specter of loss. In that singular, heart-stopping moment, the countless paths of their intertwined lives narrowed to one irrevocable choice, each heartbeat charged with the magnitude of 1,000 unspoken oaths. Every soul present, be they mortal or shifter, waited with bated breath for the unraveling of the ancient curse and the dawning of a new era. The luminous relic cradled in Sienna's hand and the trembling earth under Marek's command beckoned them to venture further into a realm where truth was a double-edged sword and destiny demanded an unyielding sacrifice. As the lingering night shuddered under the weight of its own secrets, the promise of irrevocable change glinted on the horizon, heralding an outcome as unpredictable as it was fated. In that charged atmosphere, as the forces of nature and fate converged with the fragile hope of a reconciled future, both hearts, scars and dreams intertwined, awaited the moment that would set the course for all that was yet to come. With every breath heavy with anticipation and every step a testament to resilience, the next moments promised to redefine everything they held dear, a fragile equilibrium dangling on the cusp of a transformative revelation. In the air signaled that the long-awaited moment was upon them, a moment when choices forged in the crucible of conflict would culminate in either the salvation or ruination of both mortal and shifter realms. Across the expanse of a storm-racked night, destiny was gathering its scattered fragments into one resplendent tableau of defiance and hope. In the final throes of turmoil, the separate journeys of Sienna and Merrick were converging into a singular, irreversible crescendo. High atop a rugged plateau overlooking both the restless city and the untamed wilderness, Marek's clan had assembled for one last fateful ritual. The ancient stone circle, its weathered runes aglow in the dim light of a crescent moon, served as the sacred arena. Every member of the gathering felt the weight of a legacy older than time, a legacy forged in blood, loyalty, and the relentless pursuit of redemption. Amid the gathering, a palpable tension threaded through the air. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of what was to come. Merrick, at the helm of his people and burdened with secrets that had tormented him for as long as he could remember, stepped forward. His eyes, reflecting both sorrow and unwavering determination, scanned the faces of his loyal kin. In a measured, steady voice he declared, "Tonight, we stand at the precipice of our destiny. We have to reclaim our honor, mend the fractured bonds of our past, and embrace the possibility of a future that honors both our traditions and our newfound unity. The Heartstone is more than an artifact, it is the embodiment of our collective hope." His words resonated deeply among the listeners, galvanizing them for the arduous quest that lay just beyond the circle's ancient boundary. Simultaneously, beneath the labyrinthine corridors of the rediscovered underground network in the heart of the city, Sienna's journey reached its zenith. Clutching the mysterious relic that she had unearthed, a symbol intricately carved with an emblem of rebirth, she navigated the treacherous tunnels with a quiet determination. Every step she took was haunted by the legacy of her family's secrets, the betrayal that had once shattered her world, and a burning resolve to forge a new destiny. Guided by the incantations whispered by the voices of her ancestors, she pressed deeper into the hidden chamber that pulsed with a magical glow. Inside this long-forgotten sanctum, Sienna finally confronted the truth that had eluded her for so long. The chamber's walls were adorned with murals depicting scenes of unity and conflict, a visual chronicle of a lineage that had always danced on the knife's edge between damnation and redemption. In the center, on a pedestal crafted by hands long since turned to dust, lay the Heartstone itself, a dazzling gem that flickered with every hue of the rainbow yet pulsed with an unyielding core of ancient power. Its light radiated warmth and promise, beckoning Sienna to embrace a destiny intertwined with both mortal resolve and supernatural strength. As she approached, the relic in her hand resonated with the Heartstone in a symphony of light and sound. In that luminous convergence, a secret long buried in shadows was suddenly unveiled, a revelation that linked her directly to Marek's clan in ways that transcended mere chance. The aged manuscripts she had so carefully deciphered now coalesced into a profound truth. Sienna was not merely a bystander in the ancient feud, but an heir to a powerful legacy. Centuries ago, her ancestors had allied with shifters in a forbidden pact meant to heal and unify their divided worlds. However, treachery had fractured that alliance, setting both lineages on paths of conflict. Now, through Sienna, the opportunity for redemption had returned, a chance to restore the sacred covenant that had once united human and shifter. The revelation struck her like a bolt of divine fire. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "I am the bridge between the two worlds, the key to mending what was once shattered." In that unguarded moment, an overwhelming sense of purpose washed over her, a clarity that illuminated not just her path but the destiny of all those whose lives were bound by the ancient curse. Far from the subterranean sanctuary, at the plateau under the cosmic canopy of the open sky, Merrick and his clan commenced the final rite. The ritual was both arcane and achingly modern, a melding of age-old incantations with the resolute spirit of contemporary belief in change. The air crackled with energy as the first notes of an ancient chant echoed among the gathered shifters. Every syllable was a plea for forgiveness and a call for unity. Every gesture was imbued with the hope that the cycles of betrayal could finally be broken. At that critical juncture, an unexpected figure emerged from the shadows. One whose presence had been hinted at by cryptic prophecies whispered during their long internal struggles. It was Elena, Marek's confidant and the steadfast friend who had long guided him through the labyrinth of duty and desire. But tonight, her role was far greater than that of an advisor. Emerging with a calm urgency, she revealed a secret only known to the most trusted within the clan. "Merrick, there is one last truth that must be acknowledged," Elena said in a tone both soft and insistent. "Our struggle is not merely with the enemies outside, but also with the sins of our past. The Heartstone and the destiny it represents will only grant redemption if we are willing to confront our own transgressions." Her words pierced the veil of pretense, igniting in Merrick a fervor that was both destructive and transformative. He recalled the deep scars of betrayal, not just those inflicted by external foes, but the personal betrayals that had fractured his soul. With a newfound resolve, he admitted to his assembled kin, "We must face the legacy of our ancestors, the darkness in our hearts. Only by embracing our faults can we hope to mend our future." His declaration brought a moment of collective catharsis, a unifying spark that radiated through the hearts of every shifter present. Back beneath the city, Sienna's discovery was met with an ethereal confirmation. As the Heartstone's light reached its zenith, the relic in her grasp split into luminous fragments, each of which danced around her in a spectral waltz. The chamber filled with a sound akin to a chorus of ages, a celestial melody that transcended time and space. In that symphonic moment, visions cascaded before her eyes, visions of a forgotten pact, of love forged in defiance of destiny, and of a future where the wounds of the past might finally be healed. Amid the overwhelming sensations, one image stood out with crystal clarity, a meeting between Merrick and herself, not as adversaries of fate, but as partners in a destiny that would rise from the ashes of bitter conflict. Guided by that vision, Sienna knew that the time for solitary quests was ending. Determined to reunite with Merrick, she gathered the luminous fragments of the relic and began a daring ascent back to the surface. Each step upward was laced with the energy of renewal, every echo on the cavern's ancient floor a testament to the promises of the past and the unyielding hope for a transformed future. As fate would have it, the paths of Merrick and Sienna converged sooner than either could have predicted. On a windswept ridge at the edge of the plateau, shrouded by swirling mists and illuminated by the fractured moonlight, their eyes met across a clearing. In that charged silence, the burdens of a lifetime seemed to dissolve. There was no need for further words. Theirs was a bond that transcended the physical, a recognition of souls long separated by misfortune and now united by the promise of reconciliation. With quiet urgency, Merrick stepped forward. His voice, though weary from the weight of duty, was imbued with a profound tenderness as he addressed her. "Sienna, you have awakened a power within me that was dormant for far too long. The love that binds us can indeed redeem not just our fractured past but the legacy of our people. Let us challenge the dark threads that have constrained our lineage." Sienna's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she replied, "I have discovered that my family's secret was never meant to be a curse, but the very hope for our salvation. Together, we can reclaim the pact that was broken and heal the wounds that have festered for centuries." In that climactic union, as the ancient energies swirled around them, the relic's dispersed light began to coalesce, forming a radiant bridge between the subterranean chamber below and the venerable stones above. The Heartstone's power pulsed in unison with their synchronized heartbeats, resonating with a clarity that seemed to silence the turbulence of past transgressions. With every surge of luminescence, the fractured energies of betrayal and regret slowly began to mend, interweaving with newfound hope and the transformative power of genuine reconciliation. At the same time, Elena and the gathered shifters, emboldened by Marek's sincere revelations, joined their voices in the ancient chant. Their combined fervor, fueled by the acknowledgement of past misdeeds and a shared commitment to forging a brighter future, triggered an awe-inspiring phenomenon. The very fabric of reality, stretched taut between myth and modernity, shimmered as the Heartstone's energy burst forth in a cascade of incandescent light. The ritual reached a cataclysmic climax, a moment when every echo of sorrow, every silent plea for forgiveness, and every spark of love converged into one transcendent instant. In that instance of overwhelming unity, the long-standing divisions between the clans, and even between the supernatural and the mortal realm, began to vanish. The ancient curse that had once pitted kin against kin, pitting duty against love, slowly unraveled under the relentless power of truth and redemption. The Heartstone, an emblem of both ferocity and hope, now glowed with a brilliance that promised renewal. Its pulsing light was not the harbinger of inevitable destruction but the dawn of a reconciled era, where the wounds of the past could finally be healed through acts of compassion, understanding, and the resolute belief in a common destiny. As the peak of the ritual faded into a sublime calm, Sienna and Merrick stood together, symbols of a love that had defied fate and a courage that had triumphed over centuries of conflict. The energies that once threatened to tear their worlds asunder now wove together in delicate harmonies, knitting a tapestry of unity that spanned generations. Elena's whispered guidance and the silent approval of every witness testified to the fact that redemption was not an abstract dream but a living, breathing possibility. In that sacred moment, secrets were laid bare, regrets were absolved, and an unbreakable covenant was born. A final revelation, as unexpected as it was transformative, emerged from the interplay of light and shadow. The mysterious figure who had once orchestrated clandestine schemes within Marek's clan was revealed to be none other than a forgotten guardian of the ancient pact, a guardian whose sole purpose had been to test the resolve of those destined to inherit the legacy. This unexpected twist, shrouded in enigma until the very end, served as both a symbol of the cyclical nature of fate and a call for perpetual vigilance in the pursuit of true unity. With the ritual complete and the Heartstone's incandescent glow subsiding into a steady beacon of hope, Merrick and Sienna silently acknowledged that their journey was not an end but rather the birth of a new chapter. One in which love, sacrifice, and the lessons of a troubled past would guide them towards a future reimagined. One where wounds could heal and where even the deepest betrayals might be redeemed by the unyielding power of forgiveness. Their paths, once tormented by the specters of division, now converged into a singular horizon, a future paved with trust, honor, and the promise of lasting peace. In the hush that followed the ritual's climax, as the remnants of old conflicts melted into the dawning light of reconciliation, the ancient lands and the pulsating heart of the city found themselves united by a shared destiny. Every soul present, whether shifter or mortal, sensed that the dark days of strife had given way to an era of reflection and profound healing. With cautious optimism, a new understanding took root, a silent yet resounding vow that future generations would learn from the scars of history to nurture bonds founded on mutual respect and eternal love. And so, beneath a twilight sky now touched with the first hints of a resplendent dawn, Merrick and Sienna embraced their roles as the bearers of both a storied past and a visionary future. Their love, forged amid betrayal and bathed in the redemptive light of the Heartstone, was no longer an isolated spark but the catalyst for a movement that spanned realms and defied the limitations of fate. In the gentle murmur of the breeze and the quiet murmur of the gathered crowd, a silent promise was made, a promise of endless renewal and of hearts forever intertwined in the celebration of a destiny reclaimed. Thus, as the echoes of ancient voices gently receded and a serene calm blanketed the land, the legacy of old grudges transformed into a future filled with hope, courage, and the soft, enduring sound of unity. Every hidden wound had found its solace, every bitter memory its resolution, and every tear its promise of healing, signaling the emergence of a world reborn in the light of a love that triumphs above all.